Welcome to Opinion Journal. I'm Mary Kissel. President Obama's comments on pot are raising a lot of eyebrows. Here's what he said to the New Yorker, and I quote, "As has been well documented, I smoked pot as a kid, and I view it as a bad habit and a vice. Not very different from the cigarettes that I smoked as a young person up through a big chunk of my adult life. I don't think it's more dangerous than alcohol. We should not be locking up kids or individual users for long stretches of jail time, when some of the folks who are writing those laws have probably done the same thing." Editorial board member Joe Rago is here to discuss. Joe,
hey, Mary.
Can you remember another president promoting a vice like this?
Well, the real question here is about the rule of law. And as we know, marijuana remains illegal under the Controlled Substances Act of 1970. It's a Schedule I substance. So it's illegal at the federal level. What's happened in the states is that they've said, well, we're going to make it de facto legal, whether it's through not enforcing the laws, medical marijuana, or in the case of Colorado and Washington State, just outright legalization. And here you have the president who's charged with upholding the laws coming out and saying, well, don't worry about it, we're not going to enforce it, and by the way, this isn't so bad after all. This is no worse than a drink after work or a cigarette or whatever.
Yeah, Joe, we made that point in the editorial this morning, but what we didn't talk about is why the president wouldn't try to legalize it. Why politically, if he really believes in this, why wouldn't he put his neck out and go to Congress and say, come on, put a law?
Look, I think the politics of marijuana are definitely changing in this country, but not everywhere and not uniformly. The other problem is, once you legalize it, you will have an increase in marijuana use, and no president really wants to be responsible for that. When you look, they call it weed for a reason. It's not hard to grow, it's cheap, it's only expensive because of prohibition. So you get lower prices, you reduce the social stigma of using pot in certain areas, so you get an increase in pot use. And presidents don't really want to be responsible, especially for underage users, more marijuana use among the young.
Yeah, now the president has taken some criticism from both sides of politics for these comments, including from his drug czar. Why say this at all? Do you see this as just an offhand remark? Is it an outreach to college kids? I mean, why make these comments?
Well, who knows? I think these days you have to have an opinion about everything, and here he was asked about it, and he's sort of signaling that he's evolving on marijuana like he evolved on maybe gay marriage.
Sounds like he's evolved.
What we really need to do here is have a debate in Congress about what we want to do about drugs going forward, instead of having just this ad hoc, lawless, state-by-state regime.
So you don't believe that this is an evolution that's happening at the state level, that this is what federalism is supposed to be about, having states do these laws? You don't support that?
Look, either it's wrong or it isn't wrong. It doesn't matter what state you live in here, and I think this is a national policy goal.
Okay. Editorial board member Joe Rago.
Hey, thanks, Mary.
Thanks so much for joining us.